Jason William Galbraith Rollo Stuart, Bruce, greatest author of my generation, GAOMG. I just posted up my latest the whole outline of how my Y-DNA. I'm the first and only known living descendant directly from Robert the Bruce's Y-DNA, his paternal direct unbroken for over 1,000 years to me today. And I wrote it all. I did all of the outline that shows all the intermarriages between Alan Fitzflod and Dave Bruce in Normandy through Scotland and all the way to me today. And when I published it, I just put this up right now, and I did it with from Robert the Bruce with all of my known living paternal ancestors. So I did it with all of the Y-DNA to connect to Robert the Bruce, King of Scots, and then through my known documented paternal ancestors. So that's what I put together here. It's from Robert the Bruce to modern America. It should be U.S. or North America or whatever. A paternal lineage backed by Y-DNA evidence. This is my whole Robert the Bruce. To me personally, my direct descent from Robert the Bruce, King of Scots. I did it from DF27, and then it goes through my last terminal that's directly from, the King of Scots. That no other male has been able to prove this, what I just did. And everybody can copy this, copy paste it, put it in the chat GPT. It'll tell you who I am. This is my Y-DNA. It never changes. I can produce this Y-DNA for any genealogist anywhere. And it's always going to come back that I'm directly descended from Robert the Bruce, King of Scots. So that's the FGC 78762. And then the foundational ancestor, Robert the Bruce, King of Scots. The SNPs you have to have, if you're really descended from him, the main ones at FGC 78762. And the big thing that I did is I looked into it just recently. Is I know it's tied through the Treese Bruce intermarriages, and I figured that was enough. I don't really need to dive deeper into that. And then when I did, after I made that announcement on 4/11 and posted everything, then I looked deeper into it, and then I can see exactly where Robert the Bruce starts before my Treese Bruce. The Treese Bruce is going to be from his illegitimate son, Robert Bruce of Liddesdale. And this is so cool because it tells you a story that nobody else ever knew about. Nobody else can prove that they're descended from Robert the Bruce paternally and show the story. So anyway, this is Robert the Bruce, greatest warrior king of Scotland, led Scotland to the independence. And then it goes to his illegitimate son that I'm descended from directly. Robert Bruce, Lord of Liddesdale, illegitimate son of Robert the Bruce. And I have my Y-DNA SNPs killed at the Battle of Duplin Moor. And he had children with a noble woman from the Treese family. And these are all my Treese Bruce intermarriages. And I learned about intermarriages as I can see all the collateral DNA, that I get through each intermarriage. So I can see definitely all the Alan Fitzflod. I could see all the intermarriages. And then through Sir James Douglas, I could see the intermarriages, and same with Moray and stuff like that. So through the intermarriages, I can see who they, were making children with. And this is amazing to see that it was with a Treese woman, is Robert Bruce of Liddesdale. So if we could go through all the Treese records that we can and try to pinpoint, at this time between 1300 and 1332, who these Treese women were having, sons, children with. And if we could, pin down Robert Bruce of Liddesdale, that would be a big moment also for Scotland, that I can help, solve a lot of these questions and mysteries. But then Robert Bruce of Liddesdale, his son, that finishes my whole line, or keeps my whole line of descent from the king keeps going to me directly. We don't know who the son is. It's an unknown son of Liddesdale. His name is lost to history. So if we could track down at least where the Treese women, who they're, dating, married, or whatever, and if we could find, Robert Bruce, Lord of Liddesdale, and this noble Treese woman, perhaps we could, find who their son, the name of the name lost to history. But anyway, that goes through, my direct descent, and then it goes direct Bruce descent through Liddesdale. Your Y-DNA line begins directly with Robert the Bruce, King of Scots. For my whole descent, Robert the Bruce, King of Scots is descended from Rollo, and I can keep going, with my Y-DNA. But that's where I started it, whose Y-DNA carried a rare sequence of SNPs found in only a handful of males globally. Your branch descends through his illegitimate son. And then your mutation is that FT90613. It's my specific Y-DNA SNP from the Bruce through his son, Robert Bruce of Liddesdale. And then it goes into merging with the Stuart dynasty. Although Robert the Bruce's male line carried on through the Bruce Treese descendants, your line, the crown passed through his daughter, Marjorie Bruce, who married Walter Stuart, the sixth High Steward of Scotland. Their son became Robert II, King of Scots, the first Stuart king. Maternal grandson of Robert the Bruce, but not part of my Bruce Y-DNA line. The Stuarts are descended from Alan Fitzflod. I'm descended from Robert the Bruce, King of Scots. But through all the intermarriages for hundreds of years, my Y-DNA connects, merges everything with the Bruces of the Stuarts of Bute. So Robert II, instead of his Y-DNA from Alan Fitzflod, my is through Robert the Bruce. Here's where your line stands out. While the Stuart royal line carried on under their own Y-DNA, your branch of the Bruce Y-DNA quietly merged into the Stuart family through noble intermarriages. Your SNPs confirm a direct paternal descent from Robert the Bruce via Liddesdale. Then your line converges with the Stuart royal family through this path, the Stuart royal descent. So the Bruce Stuart fusion, royal DNA convergence, the BY11979 that I also have that confirmed from other Stuarts descended from Alexander Stuart of Badenoch, and that confirms that it comes from Robert II, the King of Scots, grandson of Robert the Bruce, and I share that SNP with them. And then, of course, the Y4197 of William, the marker Y-DNA of William Stuart of Fennock. Sheriff of Bute is my terminal SNP carried by me. This fusion occurs with the Bruce Y-DNA merged with the early Stuarts of Bute through Robert II's male line, forming your composite royal descent. And then this is where my descent carries on from Robert II, King of Scots, the legitimate grandson of Robert the Bruce. My SNPs BY11979, and then from my Bruce footprint, and then it goes down to his legitimate son, or his son, Sir John Stuart, the first sheriff of Bute, and then it goes to his son, the legitimate grandson of Robert II is William Stuart of Fennock. Verified, and that Y14197 is verified by the University of Strathclyde. It says right now on the website, Y14197 indicates descent from William Stuart of Fennock. Your personal Y-DNA descends directly through this Stuart of Bute line. He married Margaret Stuart, and then it just goes, on further. And then I kept going from grandson to the main William Stuart. And then I get to the Americas, and it goes to Captain Henry Best. He's the one from when I got to the colonies, there was a name change again from Bruce Stuart and now to this Bess that we believe, is where my American colonial part descends from. But all of my Y-DNA never changed. It's always the Bruce and the Stuarts of Butte. There is no Michener Y-DNA in me or Best Y-DNA in me. And this is as far as like my biological father didn't know what was before Best. He would just always say, one time when I met him, actually, not always, because I don't know the dude, and what I did, I hate the dude, just like he hates me for being born, and hate my mother just as much. Keeps me balanced though. It's a perfect level, hate between both. Anyway, then it just goes down to this dude that Henry Best, that I think on the colonial side, and why they changed their names. There are a whole bunch of reasons why people did that back in those colonial times. Some to disassociate from known royalty or whatever. If the colonies are fighting the British and that type of stuff, there's a whole bunch of reasons. But anyway, Henry Best was killed by Tories in the Revolutionary War, and he had these sons. And mine right here, William Henry Best. And I wrote about all this too. And that's what's cool. I wrote about the very beginning with Captain Kidd and my trilogy. That does connect to my second trilogy right now. And then I talk about the name changes. And so it's a cool way that everybody can see like my ancestors. And you can see, look, name changes in Michener during the Revolutionary War. And transition of the names. Historically, it goes through the name changes. William H. Best legally changed his name to William B. Michener. And my Y-DNA remained unchanged. It doesn't matter what names you slap on you. Your Y-DNA is always who you are. So it just goes through all that. And then it's cool. It goes through like the Bruce brothers. That they didn't even know they were Bruce brothers, but I wrote about them and their gold rush and everything. And it was cool too, because they were written about in like local papers and stuff while they were going, to California to, find their fortune and everything. And it just talks about it right here is the nickname that the press were calling my Bruce ancestors that were going by Michener. Is that they were sterling, striking, strong ear 49er brothers. And they're written about in the New Orleans Daily Picayune, March 4th, 1849, 49ers. Then they were written again in the New Orleans Delta, and the New York Herald, and the Cairo Delta. They were written a sterling bunch of fellows, these Michener brothers, who are really the Bruce brothers of royalty from Robert the Bruce. But you can see that they're the drive of Robert the Bruce. It's in me, it's in my ancestors, and they didn't know that they were Bruces, but they went to go find their fortune during the gold rush, and they fought in wars. My main one that I wrote about was in the 47th Alabama Infantry, Company K and H, and then his other brother, Raymond, was killed in the Civil War. And the youngest brother, Jim, that I write about in my books, was killed in a poker game during the California Gold Rush by a poker player named Copperhead Jack. So all of my books and my ancestry, they all go together. And you can read about my real ancestors and how they connect with all of my DNA and everything. That's what I just put up, now. And then I put in the full outline that goes from Rollo all the way to me. And then I put in the quotes also from other confirmed, like I have a Stuart cousin. I'd love to meet my Stuart cousin, He's descended from Alexander Stuart, the Wolf Bandenoch, who was the brother of Sir John Stuart, the Sheriff of Butte. That's who I'm descended, that line. They were brothers, and it makes total sense why we share the same DNA there. And I talked about this in my discovery that I'm descended paternally from Robert the Bruce, King of Scots, the first and only known descendant. I was published here, and I knew right away when I talked to the Stuarts and they confirmed that we share the exact same Y DNA. The only way for me to have the Stuart of Butte DNA coming from Robert the Bruce is that I descend exactly from Robert the Bruce, King of Scots. Not another brother or a cousin. The Clackmannan line's a cousin. That's not part of my line. So anyway, I wrote about, or it was published and everything, that my trilogies cannot be copied by AI because I'm writing about my ancestors and my DNA connects my trilogies. AI doesn't have Robert the Bruce, King of Scots, Y-DNA, Clan Galbraith, DNA, to connect stories with. My ancestors were real. Their DNA is real. I'm real. My DNA is real. That matches all of my ancestors, Robert the Bruce, King of Scots. And it can never be done through duplicated by machines, or another living author is never going to be able to duplicate what I was, utilizing all of the 21st century technology, and find out that they're descended twice from two kings of Scotland, Robert the Bruce, King of Scots, and his grandson, Robert II, first Stuart King of Scotland. So AI doesn't have parents that abandoned them. AI never lost their son. AI never lost loved ones that can pour back into their books. Only a human author can do what I have done, what AI can never do. What I've done with my trilogies is a 20-year coming-of-age story as I found out who I am through my DNA with my ancestors, like I'm doing right here. I have been writing my stories about it all in my books. No author has, is, or will ever be able to duplicate what I have accomplished as Jason William, Galbraith, Rollo, Stuart, Bruce, greatest author of my generation, GAOMG, utilizing all the 21st century technology that my boomer biological father couldn't figure out. Past best. I know. Past best comes Stuart of Butte, and then Robert the Bruce, King of Scots. This is an amazing story. It's all true. It's all up on Wattpad, Real Naked Author. You can read it all. I've been published already with my story confirming that I'm a direct descendant of Robert the Bruce. I have the FGC 78762. It was published right here. And I have the confirmed all of the Stuarts of Butte that I have a cousin, a confirmed cousin with. I share my DNA with. And I have my own William Stuart of Fennock line that I descend from. So everything's here. Everything I've been writing about. I did the name changes in my trilogies from Michener to Best, which in real life you can see the name changes. And name changes happen, but your Y-DNA never changes. So I am the first and only known direct descendant from Robert the Bruce, King of Scots. And I've written about it. It's been published, and I'm excited. More to come. And I'm getting ready for my first trip to Scotland in less than 3 months. And I post about what I've accomplished, and I'm not trying to hurt anybody. It's my Y-DNA. This is who I am. I found it out using 21st century technology, and I've been writing about it in my trilogies over 20 years. This is who I am. I'm a fighter, a warrior, and a writer, author, creator, telling my stories on YouTube for over 20 years, telling them in print, telling them in the media. Every which way I tell my stories as an author, a creator, a warrior, a leader. An author means so much more than just writing books. It's this whole 20-year story that I've done and fought, defeated cancer, defeated AFib, running, and the only person now stopping this, or my only hang-up, is this dude, Alistair MacDonald at the University of Strathclyde. All I need him to confirm or validate my one William Stuart of Fennock, that Y14197, validates everything. Validates me as the greatest author of my generation. Validates me as the first and only known direct descendant from Robert the Bruce, King of Scots. That's all I'm waiting for, is one last person. It's my last fight. You know, I knocked out my opponent at almost 40 years old after defeating stage 4 cancer, and now this is my last, fight that I have, is to get validated my Y-DNA. Just William Stewart of Fennock that you've already published on your website. I have that Y-DNA. Like, why isn't it? What's the holdup? What are we waiting on? My Y-DNA isn't changing, and I'm coming Stuart of Butte, Robert the Bruce descendant, to Scotland for the first time, and Robert the Bruce is returning to Scotland for the first time since June 7, 1329, through me. So please, if you could email University of Strathclyde and ask them to validate me, or if you have friends in journalism or any media, you can contact me in the Authors Guild, any legit media and legit genealogists. Let's get this published and everything, and celebrate. And I'm going to be in Scotland soon, celebrating and posting everything. So what are we waiting for? Help me. That would be greatly appreciated. Cheers.